It's a great honor to have this conversation with you on your new book, Nexus.
Thank you.
I know you've been travel a lot recently and gave a lot of interviews. I think today I'd like to focus more on your personal experiences and perspectives, both within and behind the book. And I really hope this conversation can let the audience to have some valuable takeaways and inspirations which they can apply to their lives. And I should say, like most of your readers, my first encounter with your work was through Sapiens, and which is a phenomenal bestseller worldwide. And it's not only gave a new perspective on human history, but also just let the readers like me to reflect what we as the dominant species on Earth had done to this planet. And for me, the most emotional, impactful moment was when the book points out a very harsh reality that actually human sapiens were not inherently virtuous beings, and whenever we went, destruction followed. And one of the most memorable parts was when, shortly after Homo sapiens arrived on the Australian continent, and 80% of the large marsupials went extinct. And one night I literally just dreamed about the scenes you described in the book, and I woke up crying. It's and like what I just mentioned, your book has profound impact on my life choices, like what I eat, because I'm also a vegetarian, and also how I relate to other beings on Earth. And I do think the power of this book comes from a deep sense of compassion. So I just want to know your motivations and inspirations behind writing Sapiens.
I think that, too many people think about history as something in the past, as these kind of lists of names and kings and battles that happened hundreds and thousands of years ago that have nothing to do with our life, and that for some reason we are forced to memorize in school or whatever. And for me, history is not the study of the past. History is the study of change, of how things change, and also of how things, even in the distant past, still shape our world today. All the people that lived 1,000 years ago are dead. They don't care what we say about them, what we think about them. But what they did still shape our life. And I think the reason to study the past is not to remember it, but in a way to be liberated from it, to have more choice in how we live our lives in the present. So it's like we got this legacy from the past, but we can choose to some extent what to keep from it and what not to keep. Like you're going all your life with this big heavy sack of things on your back, and then you find some kid and you say, okay, now you carry it. But before we do that, let's just open the sack and see what's in it. And maybe we don't need to keep on carrying all the things that are in there. And if you think about your life, so almost everything we do and think, it's shaped by things that happened centuries and thousands of years ago. It starts from the things we eat. Like if you like to drink coffee, so you should thank the people in Ethiopia thousands of years ago who first domesticated coffee. And if you like your coffee sweet, so you need to thank the people in New Guinea that domesticated sugarcane, more than 6,000 years ago. And it goes all the way, to gender relations, that what we think about men and women and about families and so forth, for thousands of years, people in many places around the world thought that women were inferior to men. And therefore, women cannot go to school, cannot be professors, cannot be politicians or judges. They should just be at home and raise kids. And people thought that this is just nature, this is the reality. And when you study history, you understand this is not nature. This is something in the sack that people carry on their back and pass to the next generation and pass to the next generation. And when you open it, look inside, you understand, this is just a story. Somebody invented, like 2,000 years ago. And over the last century, we got rid of it. We understood this is not true. And today, in most of the world, women can go to school and go to university and be professors and journalists and politicians and judges. For me, this is why we need to study history, so that we are not the slaves of the past. That, yes, the past gave us very valuable things like coffee and sugar, but it also gave us less valuable things like these strange ideas about men and women. And we have a choice what to keep and what to put aside.
That's great. And also, I think your new book, Nexus, I should say it is pretty heavy and scary to read. A lot of examples in it. And actually, especially when there's a quote strike me, which is says that human just constantly claim that there are things computers can never do, like writing poetry or playing chess. But actually, this never is only a few years.
Yeah, within a few years, the computers do it.
Yeah, and also, as you point out, actually, AI is more dangerous than atomic bombs, because atomic bomb can make decision like where or when to explode, while AI can just make decisions beyond human control. And there is a shocking example, as I was reading it, about how Facebook's algorithms play a key role in this ethnic cleansing of Rohingya people in Myanmar 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So could you just tell us a little bit what's behind it and how this happened?
The most important thing everybody should know about AI is that AI is different from every previous technology in history. AI is not a tool, it is an agent. All previous technology, from stone knives to atom bombs, they are a tool in our hands. We decide what to do with them. You can decide to use a knife to murder somebody. You can decide to cut salad for dinner. You can decide to save somebody in surgery with the same knife. An atom bomb or nuclear power, you can use it to destroy cities. You can use it to produce cheap electricity. You decide. So this technology empowers humans. Now, AI is the first technology in history that can make decisions by itself. So it potentially takes power away from us, and we can lose control over it, and it can enslave and potentially destroy us. An autonomous weapon system can decide by itself which city to bomb or who to kill. And this is not just some future science fiction scenario that we need to worry about this in 10 or 50 years in the future. It's happening all around us. You apply to a bank to get a loan, it's an AI deciding whether to give you a loan. You apply to university, it's increasingly an AI deciding whether to accept you or not. And we already have some examples of huge impact of AI decisions on the world. And the social media algorithms are perhaps the most important example. Because social media algorithms, they are very primitive AIs, but they still make decisions by themselves. And when social media began rising, 10, 20 years ago, whether it's Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and all these technologies, they did a lot of good for humanity, but there were also a lot of harm. And the problem was that the social media companies, they gave the algorithm a goal, a target. And the goal was increase user engagement. They wanted more people to spend more and more time on the platform. Why? Because they made more money that way. If you spend more time on Facebook, then the company can sell more advertisements and can collect more data, which is it then sells to other people or uses to produce new products. So this was the goal, increase user engagement, which sounds like a good thing. What's wrong with people being engaged? But Then the algorithms, it was not, I mean, what the humans told the algorithm was just make people spend longer on the platform. Then the algorithm started experimenting on human beings, on millions of people. How do you get user engagement up? And the algorithm discovered by trial and error that the easiest way to grab somebody's attention is to press the hate button or the fear button or the greed button in the mind. If you show people something that makes them very angry, they just have to keep looking at it and tell all their friends. So user engagement goes up. And even if it's not true, even if it's fake news, even if it's conspiracy theory, even if many good things are happening and only this small bad thing is happening, focus on the bad thing. Because this will get engagement. And this is what the algorithm started doing. And we saw it all over the world. One of the most frightening things happened in Myanmar, where the Facebook algorithms, they deliberately began spreading these hate-filled conspiracy theories about the Rohingya minority in Myanmar. Now again, people in Myanmar are not all bad. They produce a lot of content when they started going on Facebook. Some people made cooking lessons. Some people taught lessons on biology. There were Buddhist monks giving sermons on you should be more compassionate. And there were some people who were spreading conspiracy theories. But then the algorithms, they made a decision, let's promote the conspiracy theories and not the biology lessons. And more people saw it and became very fearful and angry and full of hatred. And this, it was not the only reason, but it was one of the reasons why about 10 years ago, there was an ethnic cleansing campaign against the Rohingya. Thousands were murdered, tens of thousands were raped, and hundreds of thousands of people were expelled. And they are still now refugees, mostly in Bangladesh. And this was in part because of decisions made by algorithms, by a non-human intelligence. Now, nobody thinks that the humans in Facebook did it on purpose. Nobody thinks that the humans were evil and wanted to cause this. They had no idea what was happening in Myanmar. They gave the algorithms one goal, increase user engagement. And the algorithms, to achieve this goal, they began to spread hate. And this was already like a couple of years ago with very, very primitive AI. Now we have more powerful AIs. And in the next few years, even the AIs of today would look very primitive. You know, AI is developing at a very rapid pace. What we see today, if you think about it like organic evolution, like the evolution of animals. So for animals to evolve took billions of years. Like at the beginning, you had only single-cell organisms like amoebas, and it took billions of years to evolve dinosaurs and mammals and humans. Now, the AIs of today are like amoebas, very primitive. But AI evolution is very rapid, millions of times more rapid. So it could take just maybe 20 years to get from amoeba to dinosaur, to T-Rex. So, you know, if ChatGPT and all these algorithms of today, they are amoebas, how do you think T-Rex would look like? The dinosaurs would look like? And this can happen in 20 years. So when they start making decisions about us, what will happen to the world, to human society? Again, they are not necessarily evil, but they are just extremely powerful, and we cannot control what kind of decisions they will make, what kind of things that they will invent.
So that's why I think the very valuable part of your book actually is to raise a kind of awareness that, you know, even though they are very powerful, but the decisions is more like on humans. And we have to be aware the greed button, actually, just like you point out, like while we all hope that technology can better connect humans like a prefrontal cortex, but actually, you know, those commercial enterprises are more interested in like connect our Olympic systems.
Remote, it's not, not like the rational part.
Yeah.
It's more like the kind of very deep, reactive, emotional part.
Yeah, those like fear or like hatred or greed, like, yeah, because I've been suffer a lot of libel as well on internet for the past 10 years. And yeah, so I know how this bad things, even though never exist, but it can just spread out like a virus. And then people love to believe it.
Yeah.
The good thing about you is like, okay, she's good, that's it. So I can totally understand the horrible things like the speed of this spreading of the dangerous like false informations or fabricated informations. And also you highlight a very dangerous possibility that AI is gonna manipulating humans by building up like intimate relationships, which is very scary because that's what we all need, right?
Mm-hmm. This is kind of the next stage or the next front. That previously you saw a battle for human attention. Like there is so much content everywhere and people have limited time. So there is this kind of battle for attention. What will you focus on?
Yeah.
But the next front will be a battle for intimacy.
So like the film Her.
Exactly. Like the film Her is one of the best science fiction movies, I think, that were ever created. Because it's not about, killer robots running around and shooting people. It's actually much more profound. Because AI is developing the ability to build intimate relationship with human beings. The AIs don't have any emotions of their own, as far as we know. But they are learning how to decipher human emotions. Because they're very good at analyzing data and recognizing patterns. And, this is how we recognize emotions. Like, how do I know what you're feeling right now? I can't feel what's in your mind. So I look at your facial expression, if you're smiling, if you look sad. I listen not just to your words, but to your tone of voice. And by analyzing these patterns, I learn to recognize when a person is angry, when a person is joyful, when a person is bored. Now, AIs are doing the same thing. They also analyze patterns and understand what humans are feeling. And they learn how to react and how to press our emotional buttons. And the big difference is that, humans all the time, we want people to understand us. Like we go around about life and we want our parents to understand how we feel. We want our teachers to understand how we feel. We want our husband, our wife to understand how we feel. And they often don't. We are very frustrated that, my mother doesn't understand me. Or my husband doesn't understand me. And one reason they don't understand us is because they don't focus on our emotions. They focus on their emotions. If somebody comes grumpy from work, they had a hard time at work and they come home and they meet you and they are so focused on their emotions, they don't notice how you feel. But the AIs will be different because they have no emotions of their own. They are never angry. They are never sick. They are never tired. So they only focus on your emotions. And therefore they can read partner. You. That's the question. Is it a perfect partner? I mean, there is the kind of simulation of a perfect partner, a perfect friend, because they only focus on you. They really understand every nuance but they have no real emotions of their own. And then the question about relationships is, do I really just want somebody to understand how I feel and do things for me? Or is relationship also about caring about the feelings of somebody else? And the AI has no feelings. I mean, it can simulate feelings. So it can be a fake relationship, a fake intimacy.
So in what kind of way they are like humans gonna to manipulate like this this misuse of AI? Because like, what is the danger behind like
that couple of dangers? I mean, one danger that the more easy to understand is that it will just be used to manipulate people. Like you meet somebody online. Already today, algorithms manipulate us online, but this is mainly by prioritizing certain content.
Yeah.
Like again, somebody produces conspiracy theory, somebody produces a lesson on biology, and the algorithm shows us the conspiracy theory and grabs our attention and manipulates us. The next stage is when you go online and you form a friendship with somebody that you think is a human being. Like you met somebody on some website and you have a good connection and they really understand you and they always listen to your problems and you start trusting them and you think, oh, I've met a friend, I have a good friend.
Soulmate.
Yeah, a soulmate. But it's not a human being, it's a bot. And then this bot uses the power of intimacy to start manipulating you. Very kind of in a very subtle way, convincing you to buy certain products, to support certain political views. You know, I mean, in the past, we saw this battle for attention, but intimacy is much more powerful than just attention. If you want to change people's minds on anything, on politics or anything else, intimacy is the super weapon. Because a good friend can change our views in a way that nobody else can.
Yes.
So this is one danger. The deeper danger is that as people become accustomed to these relationships with AIs, it will become more difficult to form relationships with humans. And we will actually be more lonely and more dependent on the AIs. Why? Because again, it's kind of easier, the relationship with the AI, because it focuses on us all the time. So you have an AI that understands perfectly how you feel, and then you have a human who doesn't really understand how I feel. So I feel frustrated with the human, and I prefer the AI. And also, you know, as you lose social abilities, it's becoming more frightening, more embarrassing to try to form a relationship with another human. It feels safer to just talk with the AIs.
Yeah, that sounds really dangerous because in Sapiens, you point out like the human cooperation, actually, it's kind of like how we form like everything we have like now. So it will lose the ability to cooperate with others, maybe?
It will be more difficult to trust and cooperate with other humans, and we instead will increasingly depend on the AIs.
Yeah, and that behind AI, actually, maybe humans are manipulating them.
So again, one problem is that it could be just some humans manipulating all these AIs, or it could, like happened in Myanmar with the Facebook algorithm, there are no humans behind. It's the AIs manipulating us. And this is not inevitable, of course. I mean, the thing we have to remember about technology is not deterministic. I mean, you can use it in different ways, and we still have the power to shape AIs and to regulate them. Maybe not in 20 years. Maybe in 20 years it would be too late because they have become so powerful. But now we are still in control. And this is why we have to be very aware of the potential dangers and make the right decisions today, how to develop these AIs and how to regulate them. For instance, you know, one obvious regulation is to forbid AIs pretending to be human.
Yeah, like what you said in the book, like how human found ways to like regulate like counterfeited currencies.
Exactly.
Before, right?
Like, you know, when people invented money, one of the biggest problems was that people could fake counterfeit money. So there are very strict laws against counterfeit money. And it worked because most money is not counterfeit. And so you have trust. Now, until today, there was no technology to create fake humans. So nobody bothered to outlaw this. Now we have the technology. So, and AIs, it's okay if they talk with us. For instance, if you think about healthcare, so AI doctors can give us good advice and can help us, and this is good. But they shouldn't pretend to be human beings. When you talk with them, it should be clear to you, I'm now talking with an AI, not with a human being.
That's great. And but now we are really facing this time, like we have to coexist with AI. So what kind of skills are important for like modern people? I know it's a very hard question.
Yeah, I think that there are two skills that I would highlight.
Yeah.
First of all is flexibility, especially mental flexibility. The world will change more dramatically and more rapidly than in any previous time in history. So nobody really knows how the world would look like in 20 years, how the job market would look like, what kind of skills people will need. If you focus on a very narrow skill, like I say, okay, I will learn to code computers. But maybe in 20 years, AIs code much better than humans, and it's totally unnecessary. So the safest bet is, first of all, to have a wide range of skills, and not just intellectual skills, but also social skills, also motor skills. Have a balanced skill set, and have the flexibility to keep learning and changing throughout your life. Now, of course, throughout history, it was never easy it was impossible to predict the future. Like if you live 1,000 years ago in the 11th century in China, you don't know what will happen next year. Maybe barbarians invade. Maybe there is an earthquake. All kinds of things can happen you can't predict. But still people know that even in 50 years, the basic skills will be the same. No matter who controls the political system or what is the situation still people will need to know how to harvest grain and how to bake bread and how to ride a horse and how to shoot and bow an arrow. So this is what parents teach their kids. And today we don't know. Nobody knows what skills will be needed, even in 20 years. So the most important thing is how to develop a flexible mind that can keep changing throughout life. That's one thing. The other thing is we are increasingly flooded by enormous amounts of information. So we need the ability to tell the difference between reliable and unreliable information.
How can we do that?
and we need a kind of information diet. Think about it a bit like with food. That previously, food was very scarce. So people ate anything they could find. And especially if something had a lot of fat, a lot of sugar, they liked it because this was a lot of energy. And it was good. But now, food is super abundant.
Yeah.
And you have all this industrial food, which is artificially filled with too much fat and too much sugar. And people have learned, I actually need a diet. It's not good to eat too much. And I should be mindful what I eat, what I put in my mouth. It's the same with information. Information was once scarce. So people consumed whatever information there was. Maybe in the whole village, there would be just one book. So people would just read this book because it's the only thing. Now information is super abundant. And it's artificially, you have a lot of junk information, like junk food, which is artificially filled with hate and greed and fear and all these things. And we need an information diet. First of all, to realize, be very mindful what you put in your mind.
Yeah.
Like information is the food of the mind. And also, don't eat too much. The idea that more information is always good is not true. Most information is junk. And we actually need time to digest.
Yeah.
That we don't consume anymore. We just digest what we already have in and we detoxify. Again, because so much of information today is junk information and our mind gets full of junk and we need to detoxify the mind. Basically, we need this kind of information diet. And an important part of it is also to have information fasts. Like a food fast that you don't eat, you just digest. So also information fast. You don't put anything more in, you just digest. And also very important, kind of detoxify the mind because we keep throughout our lives putting more and more things in, which many of them are not good for us. So much of hate and...
Sorry to interrupt you, but how can we do it? It's
So, different people use different things. I personally, I meditate.
Me too.
So I meditate, I do 2 hours every day. And I go every year for a long retreat of a couple of weeks. Like
Yeah, I
this.
heard there's a retreat like coming up very soon for you, right?
Yeah, in December, I'll be going for a 60 days
Wow.
of meditation. And it's in terms of, the information diet, I don't put anything new in. I don't, there is no phone, no computer, no internet. I don't read. I don't even talk with other people. It's a silent
So
retreat.
the whole like silent retreat for 60 days?
Yes. This is quite extreme. I didn't start with 60. I started like 20 years ago doing
Like
10
10
days. And this is just an opportunity to look deep inside myself and deal with, again, all this hate and all this greed and fear which is inside us and which controls us. And the basic question in meditation is, what is real?
Yeah.
What is really happening? The first exercise when I first started meditating, it was like 24 years ago. So I went to this teacher, S.N. Goenka, and the first exercise that he gave was just focus your entire attention just on the breath coming in and out of the nostrils. And don't do anything. Don't try to control it. Don't try to make it fast or slow. Just feel when it's coming in and when it's going out. And just observe reality. What is really happening right now? And the amazing thing was I couldn't do it. It sounds the simplest thing. You don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
You don't even need to control the breath. Just feel. I couldn't do it because after 5 or 10 seconds, some fantasy, some memory, some thought would come up and take my attention away. And I would lose touch with the reality. And, if I can't even observe this simple reality of the breath coming in and out, how can I understand anything about the world without being kidnapped by these fantasies and delusions and illusions that the mind keeps inventing stories?
Yeah.
And instead of really being in touch with reality, we are constantly captured, hijacked by these stories. And meditation is this exercise of, to purify the mind and to bring it back to the reality as it is. And this is the basic skill. The same way you have exercises for the body, like your body is sick or your body is weak, you do exercises for the body.
Yeah.
So the same thing, you have exercises for the mind, which is meditation, which makes the mind stronger and more focused and more healthy and gets rid of all this junk that we have inside. And I still have a lot of junk in my mind, because I meditate, I know. And I'm a public intellectual, I'm a public speaker. I talk on television, I do these interviews, podcasts. And there is always, it's always, I need to be very careful about what I say.
Yeah.
Because my words are like seeds that go into the minds of so many people, thousands of people, millions of people. So if you have a lot of hate in your mind and you have no control over it, it just comes out of your mouth and goes into the minds of so many other people.
We saw it.
And so the meditation is, because I know there is so much junk inside, I need the meditation to keep kind of balanced.
Yeah. If I know you like doing like 2 hours per day, which feels like you're running marathon per day to train your mind. And also I was kind of amazed by, like, it was truly challenging my understanding was how you said, like, actually, we usually think it's like humans, domestic, like wheat. But actually, it's the opposite. It's wheat
domesticated us
and changed our way of life. So when you have this kind of, I just want to ask, like, in what kind of circumstances did this realization come to you, or this any like epiphany moments or something?
About the wheat.
About this totally perspective from the, like, I don't know, just the conventional understanding.
We have this illusion that we control everything, and we don't understand the ways in which we are being controlled. And this is true from the individual level all the way to the entire species. that we think, oh, I want this, I decide this because this is what I want. And you often don't realize, actually, this is what you want because you were manipulated or influenced, whether by social media algorithms, whether by cultural traditions, but so many outside forces control us and we don't realize it. Mm-hmm. And it's also true on the level of the entire species. We think we control everything. And something like the agricultural revolution, we think we domesticated wheat and we control wheat. But actually, it was really the opposite. Because if you think, who is serving who? Yeah. Like you had these ancient humans going freely in the forests, in the savannah, with quite a good life. Yeah. And wheat was this tiny plant just growing here and there on a few hills, not very important. And then you have the agricultural revolution, and you have millions of humans being servants of wheat. And they wake up in the morning, they go to sow wheat seeds and bring water from the river to water the wheat. And if some pests come to eat the wheat, they drive them away. The only thing they do in life is just to serve wheat. Yeah. And wheat, which was, again, originally this small plant in the Middle East, it started spreading all over the world. From the Middle East to Europe to China. Now you have wheat in America. You have wheat in Australia.
Yeah, very successful.
From the viewpoint of wheat, it domesticated us, not we domesticated it. And the danger is the same thing will happen also with AI. Yeah. We think, oh, we are so powerful. We are so smart. We create this thing. It will serve us. But without noticing, it can do to us what wheat did to us. And we will be its servants. And to have this realization, you need the ability to look at reality from different perspectives. Yes. We tend to look at reality only from one perspective. Yeah. And again, this is one of the skills of meditation. Stop listening to the stories in your mind and kind of try to look at reality from different perspectives. And again, something very important for that is also just the silence. Mm-hmm. That, the wisdom and truth are often hidden behind the shield of silence and even behind the shield of boredom. But in meditation, one of the most difficult things is to deal with boredom. People think that pain is the main difficulty. Like you sit for meditation, after half an hour, you have such a big pain, I can't deal with the pain. But actually pain, people very quickly find ways to deal with it because it feels heroic. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with pain, I can overcome pain, I'm such a hero. Yeah. When boredom comes, like you sit and you observe your breath, and breath coming in, going, and you feel, I'm such a busy person. I have so many important things to do. And I'm wasting my time just, observing breath. It's so boring, it's so useless. And this breaks people.
Yeah, even my mom, she's retired and she's doing meditations every day. And then she couldn't. She feel like, I feel like I'm wasting time here. Yeah. Like I said, what else do you need to do? Like I said, I don't know. It's so funny.
It's this, pain, again, you can't miss it. But with boredom, what actually happens with boredom, you start having this uncomfortable, uneasy feeling that controls people far more effectively than pain. People sometimes quit jobs, people leave relationships, people break marriages because of boredom, not because of pain. Yeah. They don't know how to deal with the boredom. It's really kind of unbearable. And so I'll quit, I'll stop. And one of the most important skills is dealing with boredom, with silence. And this is one of the hardest things in modern society. Mm-hmm. Today, the world is moving so fast. And, everything is so excited. And we are overexcited.
That's right. Non-stop.
And we feel that everything is moving so fast. I can't stop for a moment. I can't slow down. But if you don't slow down, if you don't know how to live with silence, with relaxation, you will just drive ourselves crazy. Yeah. Again, computers can work without stopping. Humans can't. Yeah. They are inorganic, we are organic. Yeah. Organic beings, they work in cycles. like day and night, winter and summer,
We need to sleep.
activity and rest. We need to sleep. And now in a world controlled by non-organic entities, by these algorithms and AIs, they are constantly pressuring us to do more.
Yeah.
Never to stop. If you stop, your competitors will be ahead of you. Don't stop.
Yeah.
But animals must sleep. You must stop at a certain point. And you feel guilty when you slow down. You feel guilty when you stop.
Yeah, it's just the fear of missing out, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you always feel like miss something, and then also I think it's why anxiety become the norm for normal people, right? Even my mom got like anxiety.
And you see it all the way to the leaders of the world. They are also very anxious. They don't know how to slow down. Like, you know, with this AI revolution, everybody who is in the industry of AI, like you go and talk, I talked with some of the most important people in the field, the people who manage these huge corporations that develop AI. And when you talk with them, they're mostly good people. They're not evil people. They are aware of the dangers. And they said, you know, we would actually like to slow down, to give humanity time to adapt, to think what to do. But we are afraid to slow down.
Competition.
Because if my company slows down, the other company will not, and they will win. If my country slows down, the other country will not, and they will win. So I must run faster. And you go and talk with the other company, with the other country, they tell you the same thing. We want to slow down, but we're afraid they will not slow down. So everybody is running faster and faster. And this is now
driving people crazy.
It is driving the whole world crazy. And people just don't know how to slow down. And then they say, okay, let's sit for meditation. So they sit for 10 minutes and close their eyes, and they become so anxious, like, I'm here doing nothing, and my competitors, like, something must be happening. I must get up and start acting. Yeah,
but like the result of your meditation, like you have bestseller, like books. I think it's 45 million copies, right?
Something like that. But it took a long time. You know, it's like every book is like 5 years, 6 years of research and writing. And it's very, very slow. You know, books are still medieval. If you think about, I don't know, tweets, like on Twitter. So you write them in like 5 seconds, you press send, and it's all over the world. Books, they're very long, and they take years to write. Even from the moment you finish writing the text, it takes about a year until it's out. Like Nexus, I finished writing it basically a year ago. And then you have all this kind of, you have to edit, and you have to check for spelling mistakes, and you have to, the layout and the printing, and it's really, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That, you know, also when I think about sports, so the sport that I most like to watch is football. And
takes forever to win.
Because in football is actually quite boring if you compare it to, you know, other sports like basketball. Like every minute, every moment something happens. But in football you have like 90 minutes, and for much of it, they just pass the ball and nothing happens. And there is maybe one goal throughout the 90 minutes. But it's part of the game. I mean, if you only watch the goals, you're not watching football. I mean, you watch 90 minutes of nothing happens for this 1 minute when there is a goal. And it's also like this, also in human conversations. Like, again, when you go and meet these very important people, one of the problems is nobody almost ever says anything important. Why? Because there is this immense pressure, like, this is such an important person, this is such a busy person. He or she, they manage a company worth trillions of dollars. They don't have time. So I must tell them every moment something extremely important, because if they are bored, they will just get up and walk. But when you're under this pressure to constantly say something extremely important, you never say anything important, because you just repeat the same kind of slogans, the same kind of... And there is no space to actually explore and go deep and maybe learn something new. It's only in conversations that you feel secure that even if we don't say anything, even if we say something boring, they will stay with us. And we can explode together. And like I said, I mean, the truth is often hidden and wisdom is often hidden behind the shield of silence and boredom. If you spend a long conversation with somebody and you allow yourself to say unimportant things, this is where you can really go deep and suddenly discover something you just didn't know before.
That's great. So are you still using, I know you refuse to use smartphones. Are you using that now?
I have, I mean, it became impossible because there are so many services like in airports or healthcare that they demand you have a smartphone. So I have a smartphone.
So how can you manage your home time?
I have a smartphone diet, like an information diet. It's not always, like it's not on me now. I came here, I left it back at the hotel. I mean, I have it in case I need to use it for the bank or something, but most of the time it's on silence, it's in some drawer. Sitting there.
When I need to use it. You are the tool, you're not my master.
Exactly, you're the tool, not the master. Yeah. And of course, I also have to admit that I have a team that they carry the smartphone. Yeah, I mean, people like to arrange this interview. So people talk with each other, but not with me. Yeah. So my husband, actually, he's kind of the business genius of the family. I know how to write books and to give interviews and develop these ideas, but I'm not good with business side, like making contracts and hiring people and managing a company. And we now have a social impact company with like 20 employees around the world, also in China. And he's the one that manages it and set it up and manages it. And he has the smartphone because he has to be in touch with all the people. And this gives me the kind of, and I know that for most people, it's a privilege not to have a smartphone all the time. Because in many jobs, your boss demands that you're always available. And if you have kids in school, you have always to be in all these groups with the school and whatever. So I wouldn't tell people, oh, don't use smartphones because this is unrealistic.
Yes. But how can we manage it? Like maybe bring more awareness or something?
This is why I use the example of a diet. Yeah. I mean, we need to eat every day and still we need to be aware of how much and what we eat. So the same way we need to develop this kind of information diet that yes, we need a smartphone and we need to be on social media and we need to have all these connections, but be more mindful how much and what you're consuming. Yeah,
that's I think that's really, really important because the last topic will be the human happiness. But I think you cover the most important part is through kind of meditation or information diet, we can slow down. We have to admit we are different from AI. We need to rest.
Yeah, AI doesn't need to rest. We do. And again, I don't want to say everybody must meditate because also I've learned that different things work for different people.
Yeah, maybe sports or something.
I mean, maybe for somebody to sit with closed eyes, it's not doesn't work. But for them, sports work. Yeah, like they take time off, and every day or every week. They, they could go hiking, they can play football, and somebody else for them out is the way they do it. Like they paint or they play music. So the first thing is discover what works for you. Don't think that there is like one size fits all. Because I'm meditating, so everybody must meditate. No, maybe for you going on a hike or playing music works better. Yeah. And then invest in it. Like think about it as really a gift you're giving yourself and an important training for the mind.
Yeah, and also with this half an hour or 20 minutes doing nothing actually can be very productive later.
Extremely. Again, that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is do nothing.
Yeah, you need to know that to convince yourself, okay, I'm doing something really important here. And I know you are vegetarian, so this little last question is for myself. It's like why you choose to be a vegetarian. like this diet?
So two things. I mean, first of all, it's for ethical reasons. It's not for, I think it's also healthy, but again, different people have different stomachs. They have different, so I wouldn't say, everybody for health reasons, but for ethical reasons. That in my research, I studied both the mind of animals and realized that, cows and pigs and chickens, they also have feelings. They feel pain. They can feel fear. They can feel sadness. Like when you separate a mother cow from her calves, both of them, both the mother and the offspring, are really in despair. They are frightened. They are sad. And this is what happens in the meat and dairy industry. That, all the meat we eat, it comes from animals we killed for it. And also the milk, cows produce milk in order to feed their children, their young. And in the dairy industry, what you do, you get a cow pregnant, it gives birth to a young calf, and then you separate the mother from the offspring. Usually you slaughter the young calf for meat, and you milk the mother. And this is where our milk comes from that. And so I just didn't want to be part of this.
So from you're very young?
No. This came from the research on the book. And
Sapiens?
when I was young, I would eat meat and milk and everything. But when I was doing research and I was exposed to all this, and also with the impact of meditation, but the other thing I wanted to say, I'm not religious about it.
Yeah.
Like, again, one of the things I learned about humans, that humans are obsessive about food. And they can, we need a balanced attitude. So especially when I'm traveling, if somebody invites me to a dinner and they made something with butter, I would eat it. It's not like, this will pollute me, I can't touch it. No.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes if it's birthday cake, I would just eat it.
Yeah, just eat
Celebrate.
it. Because people give too much importance only to food. I mean, if you want to improve the situation of animals, food is not the only thing we do to the animals.
Yeah.
We have huge impact in so many other ways, destructions of habitats and things like that. We need, again, the same way we need broad skills, we also need a broad awareness.
Yeah.
And people have this tendency, which is, I think, really religious, because you see it in many religions, that people become obsessed, especially about food. Like I know it in Judaism, in Israel. So people are willing to steal and to do terrible things. No, but I won't eat this food because there is a food taboo on this. It really is deep in evolution. It goes, there is in the human mind, there is a disgust mechanism.
Yeah.
That evolution gave us to protect us from dangers, like sources of pollution. But then religion hijacked this and make people feel that if I touch this, if I eat this, I will be impure. Yeah. I will be kind of, and I'm very careful not to fall into this trap.
Yeah, not to kind of build another cage or prison for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So remember why I'm doing it. I try to limit my harmful impact on animals. If somebody baked a cake and there is cheese in it or milk in it, I mean, the cow is already dead, and this person is
with a lot of heart.
With a lot of heart made this cake.
Yeah.
So again, behaving in that kind of religious fanaticism, no, I won't touch it because I'm so pure and you're an evil person who made this cake.
Yeah. Judgmental.
Yeah, it's
That's
better.
Terrible.
Yeah. It's not the way to do it.
That's great. And so on behalf of your readers, and I would love to know, what's your next writing plans? Is this? Yeah, if it's a secret, it's okay. Do you have any idea?
I mean, I'm still working. I have a children's book series that 2 books were already published. It's in English, it's Unstoppable Us. So it tells the history of the world.
That's great.
About agriculture and how we got here for children. And so 2 books are already out. The third one, we are just finishing it. And I'm now working on the fourth and last volume.
That's
which
really
also reaches all these questions of AI and so forth, but for kids.
Yeah, that's so important because when I watch the Cameron's like Avatar 2, when I see the hunting of this tuku, this huge creature, and then a lot of kids would sit there crying, and I realized actually it's planting a lot of like seed of compassion into
absolutely
the children's hearts. So that's so great, and it's a great honor to have like speak with you and have a little small gift that I prepared for you. Oh, actually, you are so similar to my pattern, and that's why I got so many inspirations from your way of life and your book, and I just feel like deeply connected with you, and I was like feel so happy. Okay, this interview coming up, like so great. I was being excited for a month, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Can I have a hug?
Yeah. Absolutely.